Okay, so why don't you just start by telling me your name and how long you've been with Bellagala?
You know what? My name is Chris Gerber, and I started working with Bellagala, I believe, 4 years ago.
Lovely. And now you're also, in
hmm
Florida too. So that's super
hmm
cool just because I'm sure you photograph down there and you have a large range of backgrounds that you
Yeah.
work with. So
Yep. We have wedding business going on down here, and still some wedding business going on in Minnesota. I'm in Minnesota basically during a lot of the wedding season up there.
yeah.
And so I have a business going up there too.
Mhm. Lovely. Awesome. So tell me, how did you become a photographer in the first place?
Well, I became a photographer. Now you have to understand that I've been around a long time doing this. I'm a photographer, believe it or not, when film started, which gives me a huge advantage
Mhm.
because when I started, you didn't have the ability to look at the back of the camera. You had to nail it from the beginning. And my goal in life actually was to become a commercial photographer, and I was well on my way to doing so. However, I realized that family was coming. And I decided that, well, at that point, being a commercial photographer, you'd be traveling most of the time. And traveling most of the time to me is not a really good way to raise a family.
Mhm.
So I decided to back off on that. And I met my wife through photography. She sold me my first camera at a camera store in Minneapolis. So we were both into this whole thing a lot. And I decided at some point, you know what, it's better to get a different job. So I did. And I had what I would call a regular job, non-photography job as I raised my kids. And at a certain point, my children decided, well, Dad, we don't really want you around that much anyway, because they're older, they're in college or in high school and all that. So I thought, great, this is my chance. So I got back into it in digital photography and learned it basically from the ground up, had very, very good teachers. That's one thing I've learned over the years is that you end up about as good as the teachers that taught you. Trying to do this randomly is, yeah, sometimes it might work, but in reality, you need teachers. And uh, now you wondered why photography?
Mhm.
A couple of reasons. History. For example, in wedding photography, the photos that I take will probably be the only way that your children know you when
Mhm.
you're even on. Also, if your children are already around, they're fairly young, they're going to remember a whole lot. And then when they're 30 or 20 or whatever, they're going to look back on this. And that is how you're going to be remembered from now into generations from now. So there's the history part of it. But there's also the artistic beauty part of it. Um, and then I will say there's a third thing too, which is the putting it all together part of it. That is really fun for me. I like essentially solving problems. So when I go out to a site to do a wedding, if you were my bride, you would find that I'm looking at a lot of things. I'm sizing things up because I know that you have spent a lot of time planning this, probably a year. You stressed over a lot of things. Also, you want yourself to be the most beautiful you've ever been in your life, and your husband the most handsome. And contrary to popular opinion, that does not happen consistently, randomly.
Mhm.
That has to be understood and worked towards. And I really love that process. It's virtually natural for me.
That's
So everything from how the light hits you, to how you're positioned, to how you're walking, and basically on a really fast basis in my head, I'm sizing things up so that if you're in a wonderful position as my bride, but the light's horrible on you, okay, and I don't have time to have a flash on you, or I don't have somebody carrying it around, my role is to position you so that the light is perfect on you to say, hey, look this way for just a second. Boom, shots gotten. 5 and 10 second assists along the way that make the difference between a picture that you go, hey, yeah, it's kind of cool, to a picture you might want to put on your wall. I love that process.
That's amazing. So that kind of leads into my next question,
Mhm.
actually. So, what would you say interests you most specifically about weddings?
You're making me think hard here. First of all, it's a covenant between two people, and that covenant is the biggest covenant they're going to make in their lives. And that is really, really, really important to me. Next of all, it is the beginning of your family. This is day one. This is when it all starts. And once again, as I mentioned before, the way anybody, whether it's your children or anybody, for example, cousins in the future, when you're not even here, for example, the way that they'll know you is by partially that day, but also by the fact that you're surrounded by everybody that you love. Some people you may not, because they're distant family, you might not even know them very well. But this is many people that are there may not even be around in 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that happen, where I even had it happen once. It was a non-Bellagala wedding where somebody came back a couple of years later and said, "Can you finally do an album?" I said, "Well, sure. I always keep the pictures around." And I found out that one of the reasons they wanted that was because I believe it was a great-grandfather or the grandfather who was in his 90s during the wedding. He was no longer there. There was a specific picture they wanted of him in the centerfold of that album.
Aww.
There's no other way they would have had that unless I was there to take it. They would have had a snapshot maybe, but not something that really showed him in good light and a nice position and surrounded by people that loved him too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess when it gets down to it, it's the motivation for love and history. And weddings are a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
We get paid to go to a party and have fun. And I get to help direct some of that just enough that the photos come out nice and nobody has to worry about anything. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the nice things about having just a little bit of gray hair over here, I'm not that old, but just a little bit of gray hair, is that I've seen everything. And I can usually look at mom and dad. You know, mom's oftentimes very worried. I look at mom looks at me, and she realizes I have kids her age. And my son got married last year.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And usually what happens is mom looks at me and I say, "Mom, you don't have to worry. It's all going to go fine. It'll all work out." And mom usually relaxes, takes a deep breath and goes, "Okay," and goes on and has fun. And that's fun to be able to do. Like, to walk out there knowing that there's a game plan. I have a game plan and I know how I'm going to execute that plan. And I'm going to execute that plan because I've been doing this for a while with I would say a good way to say it is with all of the experience I've ever had, but with the excitement for the very first wedding that I ever did.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun for me.
I love that. I like how you said, you know, all the experience that you have, but the excitement of the first wedding you've ever done, because
I'm an excitable person. I love it. Yeah. And, you know, I come off very calm, very collected here. And probably, you know, I've got the conservative shirt on and all that, but I actually like to have a lot of fun. And we have a lot of fun during the shooting. Everybody is usually laughing and having a good time because, in fact, starts with a covenant, then it ends with a big party. The parties are fun. I like those.
Absolutely. So this actually, once again, leads into my next question.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say was the best or most rewarding wedding that you've ever done?
You know, I was thinking about that because I thought you might ask that. And I can't say there's a most rewarding one that I've ever done, because the truth is I get to know everybody so personally. Mm-hmm. During the wedding. They become good friends. During that very short period of time, all of a sudden we know each other a lot. Because really, when you think about it, they're nervous. Most people don't like to be in front of a camera. Mm-hmm. And the first idea is let them know that it's okay, and let them see what they look like in front of the camera with well-placed light and with a well-placed body position. And then once they understand that and they can relax, then everybody starts having fun. And when they can enjoy the day and not have to worry about the photography, that to me is one of the most neat things about it, because we don't really ever have the photography get in the way. Mm-hmm. It just happens throughout the day. And that happens virtually every wedding. And so I can't say there's one particular one. They're all cool. If you wanted to run off right now and elope and said, "Chris, can you come and shoot my pictures? We're going to elope in 5 hours." That would be the neatest wedding I've done. You know, every wedding is really a fun thing to do, and it's a series of things to put together to make it turn out beautiful, so that you can have pictures on the web, or so you can make an album through Bellagala, and it's done. And I should mention this to you: the way I shoot for Bellagala the way I shoot for my own clients, and that's that. Surprisingly, let's do it this way. Have you ever seen a movie and you realize that there's a formula to the story they're telling? Mm-hmm. Well, I know those formulas. I studied storytelling a lot. And storytelling isn't just taking a series of photos and putting them in order. There are transitions that go from one scene to another. and we transition things. And you want to know in your wedding things like, well, who's the cast of characters, and how are they related to each other? Then things like when the bride and groom are in one area, how do they get this next area? Well, we transition people over. There's a way to do that. And so it actually does read like a storybook, because it's meant to read like a storybook. So once again, it's not just a series of photos in line. It's a series of photos, but transitioned, that tell a meaningful story of the day. That's really a lot of fun. And I will tell you, that took me years to understand and know how to do. That didn't just come out of the box like, hey, go to a seminar and learn it. No, that was a lot of practice, a lot of practice. And what you mentioned, you asked me how many years I've been back with Bellagala. I didn't even think I'd like doing weddings when I got back into photography. And I found out that no, I love doing people. And a friend of mine asked me to do a wedding. That's how everybody starts, right? Next door neighbor. And I said, no, it's better if you go somewhere else. And I said, no, really, 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 you're going to do really well at this. You really know what you're doing. I said, well, and after about the fourth ask, I said, okay, I found out I really like this. I could do this only. And so that's how it started. And that was about actually 7 years ago, something like that, 8 years ago. And then everything kind of boom, mushroom from there. And I remember I was in Florida one year down by the beach, and I got a call from Bellagala saying, hey, would you like to shoot up here? And I think they got my name from a friend of mine that I knew that shot at Bellagala. And well, I guess, sure. I have to have some weddings up there too. So I had personal weddings, but then Bellagala called and it got me going on second shooting and then doing Bellagala weddings. And it all fits really well. It gives me something to go back up there for the summer other than the beautiful weather and the cookouts.
Yeah, I love that. I love all of the things that you're saying and just how poised you are with your words, because I feel like it just kind of embodies how we all feel about weddings, and how, it's not just a moment in time, but it's a story of, it's their beginning of their life. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's the first day of their family.
My final question for you is just to tell us about some of your hobbies and your interests outside of photography.
Well, I have a few things going. My special interest outside of photography is my family and my kids. Now they're all grown up, they're all over the country. I have a daughter in New York, I have a son in Minneapolis, and then we're down here most of the year. And then I also, for fun and excitement, for example, this morning, I just went out for a 23-mile bike ride, which is kind of fun. Up Emery Island. That was a lot of fun, and I pushed it pretty hard. But my favorite sports type thing on the outside world is tennis. I play competitive tennis, which is one of the reasons I chose Florida versus Nome, Alaska. Not into sled dog racing. So I like that for fun. I do, even though I sold my business several years ago, and but the business asked me to come back and do some things for them. So my work over the years to raise my family was I was a portfolio manager. So I was in the financial analysis and investing field. And I also do some, there's an organization I work for off and on for 20 years called the CFA Institute. And they put on kind of the big bad test for finance people. They will let you in here with a PhD, or JP Morgan will let you run money with a PhD, not run money, but they'll let you in with a PhD or a MBA from a good school, but you can't touch money until you get your CFA designation. So I used to grade those exams, and now I write questions for them. And so down here, since I'm retired, I still work about 2 or 3 hours a day. It keeps me sharp. Yeah. And then down here, as weddings come along, that's basically a Saturday, and then about 5 hours of processing afterwards of the photos. So I keep pretty busy. I have a lot of things to do.
Yeah, you sound like it. Can't believe you like 23 miles in the Florida heat. I mean, I know it's winter there now, but it's still pretty hot.
It's actually beautiful today. Today, I noticed there are a lot of tourists here because Thanksgiving's in a couple of days. So this is the time when you want to make sure you're on the sidewalk. I bike pretty fast, so I have to be careful where I go. And you have to be really careful down here in bicycling, because the tourists are down here to have fun, and they're running left and running right, and they're not exactly watching for bicycles. So you have to be careful. Yes. But it's a beautiful place to bike.
I'm sure. Yeah. I went to Anna Maria when I first moved down there, and it's gorgeous. So
Oh yeah, I spent the morning at Bean Point, at the very tip of Anna Maria Island.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
it's beautiful.
What a life you have.
Well, it took a lot getting it,
Hmm.
but now that we're here, I haven't traveled like a lot of people have traveled,
Hmm.
and I don't have a desire to travel like a lot of people do. Neither does my wife. We thought, well, rather than travel down to here all the time, let's just move here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened
Well, that works out perfect then.
so far.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Those are all the questions that I have for you. So we'll definitely keep you posted on, when it will get up on the website and all of those good things. But thank you so much for taking the time. Now go enjoy the rest of your beautiful sunny day in Florida.
I have to write a question or two, and then I can get outside again.
Perfect. Thanks again, Chris.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.